All right, here we go. It's Oklahoma Weekly Update on Coffee with Democrats with hosts Scott Hamilton and Kevin Dawson. It is Oklahoma Weekly Update on Coffee with Democrats, the best political satire news show in Oklahoma.
We don't write the headlines write themselves. I'm Scott Hamilton.
And I'm Kevin Dawson.
Well, Lion Ryan Walters vowed to never back down from a woke mob, even while backing down from a woke mob. At a highly anticipated presentation put on by a conservative student group at OSU, the students didn't want to hear his nonsense about woke anything. Instead, they wanted to hear about education, about the State Department of Education and its loss of staff, about their futures.
Well, I think we have video of that.
Walters lasted about all of 12 minutes before being ushered out of the room. When asked for comment, Mrs. Walters said she was impressed. That 12 minutes is 11 and a half minutes longer than she's used to.
and I'm probably, Ryan's probably used to hearing the same commentary as what was on the video. You're a coward. Oh, excuse me. Speaking of Superintendent of Schools, Superintendent Ryan Walters, he falsely claimed on Thursday he has fired 130 people from the Oklahoma State Department of Education since he took office in January 2023.
I mean, you mean the same great Ryan Walters who proudly took a photograph that displayed his erection? That one?
That one right there. Yes, that is the same one.
Man, while he's being stroked on the leg, this failing superintendent of public instruction for Oklahoma. Man, I don't even want to think how worse it can become.
Yes, one and the same. The Oklahoman reported earlier this month that at least 130 people have left the agency, not fired, but left the agency since Walters became state superintendent, with at least 65 of those departures coming since last July. Walters claims he fired all of these people at odds with public documents that the Daily Oklahoman, the Oklahoma newspaper, has obtained. Those resignation letters for Cleveland, Ferguson, Thomas, along with resignations and retirement notices for 57 other former agency employees who have left since July, none of them indicated that they were fired in those public documents. So wait, that explains it. Mm-hmm. Walters State Education Department is ranked 50th out of 50 states because Walters is a sucking piglet on Oklahoma governor's campaign promise to make Oklahoma a top 10 state. In Walters' perverted and abnormal thinking, being in first place as the worst state for the education makes Oklahoma a top 10 state.
Yay, top 10
Whoa,
again.
There we go. So now we really have to think like a Republican to make this make sense. I get it now. That means Oklahoma is the best at failing.
And the best at giving me a headache.
Yes. So here we go again. In another mind-blowing turn of events, the Oklahoma governor, who is a real stit for brains, which is in the Urban Dictionary, which defines it as an idiot, one who seems to have stit instead of brains, thus severely limiting their thought capacity, and gives the following example. Hey, stit for brains, you Ryan Waltered us again, didn't you? Anyway, back to the headlines. Governor Stitt for Brains is quoted when asked about departures earlier this month, responded, "So you're telling me we've lost 130 bureaucrats, up here in Oklahoma City, and we've still got our education system rolling across the state. Sounds like a good thing to me. So wait a minute. Governor Stitt for Brains actually said losing 130 bureaucrats sounds like a good thing. Does Stitt for Brains not realize that governors sit at the top of that of the state bureaucracy? And according to Rutgers University Eagleton Institute of Politics, Governor Stitt for Brains shares the job of executing the laws and of now wait, that's got to be it. Governor Stitt for Brains is so dumb.
How dumb is he, Kevin?
He's so dumb. When he was told that this job was to execute the laws, he thought it meant to actually kill the laws and fundamentally make Oklahoma the laughing stock of the entire world.
Well, and he has succeeded in that, I can tell you for sure.
Absolutely.
Let's go back just for a second to the loss of staff at OSDE. 130 people. Governor Goober applauded the absence of 130 bureaucrats. Does he not understand that he and Walters are bureaucrats? And yet he uses it as a slur. What he doesn't address is the loss of millions of dollars because there's nobody left in the Department of Education to actually do the work.
In another headline, Ryan Walters tells school superintendents to ignore new Title IX guidelines on gender orientation.
That's right. Lion Ryan, who of course is all about law and order, has now ordered every school district in Oklahoma to ignore changes to Title IX, saying that illegal and unconstitutional, and saying districts that comply with them would, well, he's not sure what would happen. But he called it Biden's war on women. What? I think he's got his presidents confused here. Regardless, this will naturally result in more lawsuits, costing the state more millions of dollars, especially because we'll have to hire out-of-state lawyers because all of the lawyers at OSDE have split. Now, in response, Ryan Walters had this to say.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info. Okay, no problem. Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info. Okay, no problem.
I can just see him doing that.
Over and over, I agree.
So U.S. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona announced the new Title IX rules on April 19th. Among other things, the federal government said discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity now is covered under the law's anti-discrimination provisions. The final regulations take effect August 1st. For more than 50 years, Title IX has promised the equal opportunity to learn and thrive in our nation's schools free from sex discrimination, Cardona said in a statement. These final regulations build on the legacy of Title IX by clarifying that all our nation's students can access schools that are safe, welcoming, and respect their rights. However, in Ryan Walters' perverted and demented Dr. Evil mind, he takes offense that this means he can't have three-way sex at the book burning with Moms for Liberty, just like we see right here. Or
fantasize about being a Swiftie anymore.
Like we see right here. Or give us girls the AP history class creepy sexualized assignments that we see all over the internet on his now disabled, and we see it in this clip right here, MHSAP history. His I think that's Muskogee High School or McAllister High School AP history class. That's what he had there. And boy, there is some really demented stuff that we saw on that before he disabled that account.
And I guess what he doesn't know is the internet always lives on and on and on. So we'll be able to see for years to come, Kevin, just what a piece of work he was in the classroom.
Let alone what he is right now.
Oh, Switching gears, while debating HB 4156, that's the Oklahoma GOP's pandering show me your papers immigration bill, the House Floor Leader John Echols admits that he would lock hands and stand with racists and profilers. Kevin, they're saying the quiet parts out loud.
In other crazy Republican news,
Like a number of states have made feeding children priority, instituting free breakfast and lunch for all students regardless of income. Oklahoma, no way, no how. Governor Goober says it's too expensive while championing legislation that would give the Oklahoma Thunder $10 million a year. That's on top of the new arena Oklahoma City is providing. It's a good thing the GOP has state priorities in order.
oh, crazy.
Or, speaking of lack of order, Shelley Zumwait, Oklahoma's tourism guru, has raised eyebrows for handing her husband's company millions of dollars in no-bid contracts, a very clear violation of the state law. Of course, this breaks all kinds of laws, but being a friend of Governor Goober, she'll probably just keep on enriching herself and her family.
Yeah, that's right. Ryan Walters isn't the only pervert communist dictator wannabe. Republican Representative Jett stood on the floor of the Oklahoma House of Representatives and argued for corporal punishment of children with disabilities. But wait, that makes even more stranger than the Twilight Zone fiction of adolescence. 11 Oklahoma Republican whack jobs in the Oklahoma State Senate also voted for unrestrained beatings of children with autism, blindness, deafness, emotional disturbed, intellectual disabilities, orthopedic impairment like muscular dystrophy, trauma, brain injury. That's right, folks. These morally bankrupt politicians are publicly advocating for forced birth, while at the same time they're asking us to give those children to them so that they can stand in line and torture and beat those same children. But on the bright side, Governor Stitt for Brains has another winning at failing moment that he can brag about on Fox News. Yes, way to go, Oklahoma. Winning at failing is so much fun.
Those poor children. We warned you a couple of weeks ago that the plan was to replace licensed school counselors with chaplains. Now, these are people who do not have to be credentialed in anything. They'll be left alone with children. Well, it advanced out of the House and is headed to the Senate, where Nathan Dahm will pick up the charge. You know Dahm, right? He's the head of the Oklahoma GOP, and he had a meltdown when the majority of legislators decided it really wasn't a good idea to meet those children with disabilities. He then trotted out the tired old, spare the rod, spoil the child bit. It's a pretty good representation of today's GOP. Well, Kevin, we don't write the headlines write themselves.
Until next week on Oklahoma Weekly Update on Coffee with Democrats, I'm Evan Dawson.
And I'm Scott Hamilton. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week.